my veins, spilling facts is my quest. I'm breaking the mold, no mainstream appeal. Just a kid with a dream and a heart made of steel. I sift through the data, the left and the right. No bias, no agenda, just seeking the light. They laugh at my setup, my low-res stream, but my words cut deeper than the corporate screen. I guess I'm too raw, too rough to play, but I'm spitting my heart, not chasing some game. No corporate leash, no puppet on strings. I'm free in my words, see the truth that I bring. No big channel shine, no glitter, no fakes. Minimal effort, just me and my takes. I'm speaking the truth, let the whole world know. Small time streamer, but that's how I roll. Do my words hit hard, give the system the chills. Minimal effort, no budget, no frills. I'm carving my path, let the fire erupt. Small time dreamer with a voice that's enough. I'm the spark in the dark, the glitch in the code. Carving my lane on this uncharted road. Million subs, no viral fame, but I'm owning the truth and I'm changing the game. I'll scream till my lungs give out, till the signal's dead. Every word that I speak is the blood that I bled. No big channel shine, no glitter, no fakes. Minimal effort, just me and my takes. I'm speaking the truth, let the whole world know. Small time streamer, but that's how I roll. Do my words hit hard, give the system the chills. Minimal effort, no budget, no frills. I'm carving my path, let the fire erupt. Small time dreamer with a voice that's enough.
All right, now that the intro's done, I can just call it a night and go to bed, right? Celebrity from the 1900s. What the hell, man? Eminem. He's the white guy that thought he was black. I get it. I'm old, okay? Like, my beard is starting to get, like, some serious grays going on over here. But I'm not that old, man. Come on. Eminem wasn't really popular until, like, what, the early 2000s? I feel like Eminem was more, like, late 90s, early 2000s. Like when I was going to community college when I was like 16, I think that was like when Eminem really kind of blew up. Relevancy. You know what? Objection. Badgering the witness. Oh man. No, Eminem would say, you know, F those crops, dude. Time for the BB gun show. It's more like airsoft, dude. Airsoft, paintball. Yeah, everyone knows the real Slim Shady. That was my daughter's walk-up song, man. Okay? My 10-year-old daughter, who, mind you, none of my kids really listen to rap. Like, they know a couple songs because, like, their friends in baseball and softball will pick, like, rap songs for walk-up music and shit. But, nah, dude, it is so weird. I can roll my R's in salsa and merengue. I can't roll my R's. Like, I can do... No. Play airsoft. No, not quite. See, I did paintball as a kid, and now I have the real thing. So, try to give me some credit. Well, okay, dude, here's the thing. I don't have time for lifting weights. I don't have time for worrying about my diet. I get to the gym maybe once or twice a week at the very most. Like, when we went to the gym on Sunday, that was the first time I actually lifted weights in probably 2 weeks. I don't know. Maybe longer than that. I should have canceled or paused our gym membership because when my kids were ending their playoff season going into All-Stars, we had about a solid month that none of us got to the gym. Combine that with like the super overactive metabolism and the Crohn's disease, and I'm lucky that I'm not like freaking who's a really anorexic celebrity? Kate Moss. I'm lucky I'm not the male version of Kate Moss at this point, okay? You can't make me feel bad about my body because damn it, it could look a lot worse, all right? Let me see. Who didn't we say hi to? I think I've addressed at least everybody who's here. Quillpig came in a little bit later. But yeah, you grew up as a white boy in Jersey, so you can roll your R's, salsa, and merengue. I'm just gay. I can't do merengue. I can make meringue cookies, and I can be gay. Just not the actual merengue itself. So, there's unfortunately, speaking of gay, there's going to be a few articles from the Gamer tonight that we're going to look over. One of them, this is just really funny, kind of interesting, that apparently almost half of this year's top performing Steam games have come from AA or indie studios. I don't think that's a shock to anybody. Face and body for radio. No, man, okay, so it's the funniest thing. If I actually work out consistently and make sure I eat enough calories, because for me, I got the opposite problem most of you guys. I have to eat extra calories to even put on weight. I can typically get cut to where my muscles look okay. If I'm consistently working out for like 3 times a week, maybe for about 4 weeks, I'll be good, you know? But the minute that I don't go to the gym, everything just goes away. It's so sad. Can you GTL? I'm not even gonna pretend that I know what that means. Anyways, from the Gamer, it says, I'm not even gonna read their diatribe here. Smaller games have come to the limelight. Indie titles like Schedule 1, which I still need to pick up, Repo, which I haven't played, and Peak, which I have never even heard of, have all garnered massive audiences, while games from smaller studios, such as Clair Obscur, which is a fantastic game, still gotta finish, have achieved critical acclaim, breaking multiple records in the process. Players are seemingly yearning for smaller titles, supporting indie devs and smaller studios in the process. I mean, shocking, right? Oh, GTL, Gym Tan Laundry. Dude, you want to talk about like deep lore, like old school shit? GTL, wasn't that like more than 10 years ago? Jersey Shore? I thought Jersey Shore was like more than a decade ago. Yo, Zav, you are here in stream and finish. Dude, okay, I've started like 5 games since Expedition 33. I will eventually finish it. It will eventually happen. Your dietitian tells you need to eat more to lose weight. You eat so little that you're in a state of perpetual camel mode, so you're storing almost everything. That's a problem. My dad had that problem when he was really overweight, because he wouldn't eat much during the day, but then he'd just eat like a handful of candy or some random shit like that. And then he would just, like, he couldn't shed any pounds. It was crazy. I wish I were that dumb and superficial, yeah. No, I mean, honestly, the whole GTL thing, that was a bit of a meme for a while. What a wonderful world, yeah. In the TikTok and short form video era, why are we talking about TikTok? You gotta leave it to Gamer to talk about this kind of shit. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Clair Obscur, and Rematch all had slightly larger scopes, budgets, publishers, and teams. All 3 games fall into the smaller AA category, taking the 5th, 9th, and 14th spots respectively. These 8 games make up 40% of Steam's top 20 concurrent player count titles released this year. That's crazy. That is actually really awesome. Bro's not beating any allegations with a Kate Moss reference. Dude, I told you, I got gray in my beard, man. Okay, the longer this thing gets, look how gray this shit is over here, all right? My kids are always telling me, like, I gotta get it dyed or something, but... I have more tats than you because you don't have any. Yeah, the funny thing is, like, I haven't gotten a new tattoo since 2019. And every year, like, we just had 4th of July, right? Every year, we go to my friend's house, kids that are friends of my kids that we've known for, like... Well, going back to when my oldest kid was in kindergarten, preschool or kindergarten, one of those. And so 7 years now they've known me. And every 4th of July we go to their house. Every time we go there, I'm in a tank top because it's hot outside. And every year their dad is like, wow, how many tattoos have you got? I'm like, dude, I haven't gotten a tattoo in 6 years. How surprisingly good an actor Cher is. No, I don't think Cher is that great of an actress, but she has a killer voice. I'm not gonna lie. You start playing If I Could Turn Back Time or something. Yeah, I dig it. You've been been stuck in the same 10 to 15 pound weight range for like 3 years, no matter how much or little you eat or am active. Granted, you're not exactly trying. Well, dude, maybe start trying, man. It doesn't hurt to try, right? It comes quick after 40. Well, I got 1 year left then. Oh my god. So I got like, I don't know, 2 hours of sleep last night. So I decided at about 7 o'clock to make some iced tea. And here I am at 9:30 finishing it. So I'm going to be up for a while. Do you believe in life after love? Yeah, exactly. I can feel something. I'm not going to start singing. No. Not doing it. Only about 7 years older. Yeah, no, for real though. I feel this whole turning 40 thing, it's coming on fast. Now that I'm officially on the other side of 39 and I have less than a year till I'm 40, I feel old age and senility creeping up on me really fast. This is a great meme though. Legacy Kill is like, you're laughing, the AAA video game industry is burning and you're laughing. And of course the replies are awesome. Yeah, turn back time indeed. I love it.
The best way to show someone how much you care. It is like this tangible thing that you can point to and say,
Michelle
hey,
Pfeiffer.
man,
I love Michelle
you.
Pfeiffer. I'm not even
This
gonna lie.
many dollars
Love
worth.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Was up minimal. Super chat from my vacation on Mexico.
Mexico.
Nice place in here. Not from the capital. You should try out the game Anemo. Pokemon like.
Anemo, what is that? Thanks for the 5, Luigi. I appreciate you, dude. Enjoy your vacation, man. I'm 25 next month. I feel y'all. My life is basically over. What are you talking about? 25, man? Okay. When my wife and I got married, I was 23. And I had this hard set rule. I didn't want to have kids right away. And I'm like, I'm not going to have kids before I'm 25. And I'm not going to have kids after 30. So we had that 5-year window. And we got it done, right? You exercise 3 times a week. That's ideal. I think three times a week, especially if you're trying to like mix in leg day, back day, whatever. Dude gets deported. I'm on vacation. Hey, they could deport me to the right spot of Mexico. If it was the right place, you could deport me there. Cabo San Lucas has amazing beaches. The one time I went there. What were we saying? Got jacked about Cage. You spent 6 months working out every day to propose to your girl back then. Got jacked, not big. Not all of us have the frame to get big. Dude, I can't get big. I can get shredded. I can get cut. I cannot get large. That sounded really wrong, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the other kind of large. But yeah, Lucia, enjoy your vacation, dude. I haven't taken a vacation since the one family trip we took to Arizona last freaking March, I guess it was. And I'm still paying off that vacation, so probably no more vacations for me anytime soon. Read the above comment. I got your back. I think that's the one I just read. You'd puff on a midget to be 20. Well, thank God I don't qualify as a midget. I'm short, but I'm not that short. Anyways, let's do a quick update on Stop Killing Games. I think we are freaking finally like closing in on 1.25 million. Never been to Guadalajara. I have been to Mexico twice in my entire life. I've been to Cabo San Lucas one time, Mazatlan twice, some really awful, shitty little town. I cannot even remember which one it was. It was not on our destination like itinerary, but the boat was having issues. The cruise ship was having like engine trouble, so we couldn't make it to the right port, so we ended up stopping at this little tiny town in the middle of nowhere. It was absolutely terrifying. I thought we were going to get kidnapped or something. You don't grant wishes. I've fallen for that trick before. That is true. I could dress up like a leprechaun, but I cannot grant you any wishes, so... Oh, dude, Cage, here's the only thing I'm concerned about. So, as far as the Stop Killing Games initiative, when they first got the gas going a week ago, it was estimated to hit 4 million signatures at the rate that it was going by the time that the deadline hits on July 31st. Now it's estimated to get less than 2.8 million, which is still enough. It's still plenty. But see, this number is continuing to go down, so the estimates continue to drop. They need a little bit more like influx of traffic. They need more buffer, because I think we'll play the video from Accursed Farms in a second here. I think what they're shooting for is about a 250,000 signature buffer, which they're almost at right here. Dress up as the leprechaun and then go visit the hood. Nah, man, I'm good. We have some areas not too far away that you could call the hood, and I avoid those places intentionally. I have the ability to defend myself, and I have no interest in having to use it, so not happening. So again, the petition for the UK is up to 175,000 signatures, so they've almost got double what they needed. So the UK one is safe. The one for Stop Destroying Games in Europe is the one that needs more signatures. So I linked that down below. I don't know how many of you guys are in Europe, but again, something just for putting out there to get people to sign, because they need a bigger buffer on this one here. So I did a video on this. I'm sure most of you guys have seen it. Video Games Europe came out and did a statement about Stop Killing Games. And of course, Video Games Europe is this lobbying group comprised of a bunch of companies, the worst of the worst in publishing, who basically have no interest in seeing Stop Killing Games go through. They want to kill the initiative if possible. If you go to their board, their membership, it's all the same shit you'd imagine. It's all, of course, Activision Blizzard, Epic Games, Electronic Arts. I mean, it goes on and on. It's even got Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft all attached to this. Yes, we should keep signing. As long as you are in the EU or the UK, absolutely people should keep signing it. It's more about the upcoming debates in Parliament, Brussels, and winning that and changing the minds of politicians. Yeah, so here's the thing. That brings up a good point, because it's up to the EU now to... God, what should I say? To side with gamers or consumers. And unfortunately, the EU is unpredictable. I wouldn't bet my life on it, but at least this is a start. This is something, right? I think you're looking at it like it's a sport event. I mean, maybe. You've been to Tijuana twice, even though the Navy was banned from going. I was a rebel and had long hair, so they thought I was... Freaking Kickbot just spammed my channel. Holy shit. Gotta look into defensive Fenton pepper spray with filter. What? No. No, I'd be using my legally acquired protection. I'm not gonna waste my time with any sort of spray, man. I was a rebel and had long hair, so they thought I was a San Diegan. That's funny. As an Xbot, it hurts that Microsoft is so pro them. Oh, dude, you're not even kidding. Well, a big part of this stream is going to be about Microsoft and Game Pass, because I've been wondering for a while how much damage Game Pass has done to the games industry as a whole, or at least Microsoft and Xbox, and I think we're starting to get our answer, but we'll get to that in a few minutes here. AAA, gross. Hey, Slots. Yeah, AAA gaming, I mean, here's the thing. There are still some decent AAA games that come out once in a while. You can find specific studios and developers who aren't anti-games, who aren't anti-consumer or anti-gamer, but unfortunately the majority of them have all kind of joined forces to rob us blind, for lack of a better word. I mean, when you start, I was explaining this entire thing to my kids sitting at dinner, because my oldest son was asking me about it. He knows I've been covering this a lot, and he's like, so what is the whole Stop Killing Games thing? I'm like, well, basically imagine you buy a game that has to be connected to the internet to play for $40, and then you pay $10 for, you know, microtransactions for different skins in the game, and then they decide one day they don't want to have to host the game anymore, and they just shut it down, and you lose your $50. That's what this is about. So, yeah, being a console fanboy at this point is kind of silly. I agree, but I understand it, because, again, I grew up on Nintendo. I was a Nintendo loyalist my entire childhood. Then I bought an Xbox, and I was like, oh, Xbox is better than PlayStation, and I had no reason for it. Xbox was my console of choice. I loved Halo, and that was all I knew, you know? Hey, Soul Reaver 1 and 2. Good games. I don't know how well they hold up, and to be honest, I think the remakes were kind of a waste. From what I've seen, the remake doesn't look that interesting. It's all about experts for Stop Killing Games, finding the ones on one side or pooling money together to get the ones who aren't, to argue for our side effectively. It's all above the layman, yeah. As a vampire, Don Walker, AA said FU CDPR. Dude, honestly, Don Walker could be really good. I'm hoping. We're going to see, hopefully in the next year or two, how that game is going to look. Dude, my camera already shut off. Holy crap. Apparently I didn't refresh it before the stream started. If you hadn't played before, I think you'd like them. Yeah, if you're used to playing older games and you don't mind things not being like super polished, and I saw somebody criticizing Wizard of Oz because of the amount of money they spent on the movie and going, oh, these were cutting edge graphics. It's like, dude, it was like 1939. Like, give me a break. Okay, maybe it wasn't 1939. I can't remember. I think it was, though. Played a bit of the first one on Dreamcast back in the day. See, Dreamcast is a system that I don't think I ever owned. I had one Sega. I think it was a Sega Saturn is the one that I had. I got from a thrift store. Well, the thing about it is, okay, as an Xbox fan, pretty much you have to accept, and I've said this for years now, and people called me crazy, the direction that Xbox has been going has been to be a console-less platform. I would not be surprised in 5 to 10 years if they no longer made a console. I mean, just being straight honest. Xbox relies so heavily on the PC part of their game, especially because of the amount of Gamepass players they have. And we'll get into, again, those numbers in a minute here. So, again, some fun memes to come out of this one. I don't think I've ever shared this one. Pirate Software. I will own nothing and be happy with, of course, his Worked at Blizzard award right here. Nowadays, I only buy secondhand physical for PS5 and digital on GOG. See, that's the best way to go, and I need to figure out a good way to start buying more PC games physical. The issue is, as we all know, that PC games physically are a lot harder to... I mean, just the amount of PC games that there are, a lot of them they don't make physical releases of. And then, of course, you have Steam convincing all of us to buy games on Steam because you get sales and discounts. Why do I... immediately jumped to 19. No, man, I saw somebody post about it with the date 1939 on Twitter today. I couldn't have pulled that date out of my ass if I tried. I was a Sony fan up till PS2, then dropped it for 360 and PS4. Yeah, that's the thing. PC games physically just they're not really a thing, you know? I need to start shopping on GOG more. Guys, does GOG ever do sales? I know that their games typically are not like as high priced, I think. Don't they get games typically after they've already been on Steam for a while? Xbox doesn't need a console. Platform is what Sony doesn't understand. Yeah, exactly. Dude, you gotta wait for NS to get here if you're gonna make those kind of jokes. You just played the four same games ad nauseum these days? Dude, I mean, okay, so to kind of out myself here, if I look at my desktop right now, of the less than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and some of these I just put on here because I'm going to use them as background footage for videos, like Drug Dealer Simulator 2 and Striving for Light, which has an update coming out. I'm going to use both of those for background footage for videos. So only the games I regularly play, I mean, okay, if you want to count games that I've played more than a few hours on, First Berserker, Black Myth Wukong, Clear Obscure, Elden Ring, Stellar Blade, that's 5. No Rest for the Wicked, I've played like 2 hours, maybe 3. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I don't even know why I have it on my desktop. I haven't come back to it in like months. Diablo 2 and Guild Wars, 2 games I never touch. Valheim, which I haven't played in months. Starship Troopers, there you go. Tarkov, yeah, exactly. Helldivers 2, never play it. Insurgency, that's my go-to. Apex, I only play with my kids. Ghost of Tsushima, I've played it twice. So, yeah, I mean, I have a revolving cycle of maybe 3 games right now that I actually play regularly because of the fact that I just don't... I don't know. I don't really get outside of my comfort zone, you know? Oh, GOG is doing a summer sale right now? I gotta check that out. Looking for a sale, need something just a dime and a couple pennies under 15. Dude, Insurgency is 3/4 of my weekly hours. It really is. Because, I mean, honestly, I hop on there at the end of my night and play it for like an hour until my wife is like, okay, you better come to bed or you're gonna sleep on the couch, you know? Friends of Mineral Town. Bought a used copy for Switch for $10. See, I'm just not really in the mood to pick up any Nintendo games right now. Everything GOG wishlist is on sale, but I already have 40 games in backlog. Tekla, I feel that. And as I pick up more of these indie titles and use them for talking about on streams, or maybe streaming them once in a while, or using them as background footage, and then that way it still promotes the game because people ask what the game is. I still have like 10 games I've gotten keys for from Keymailer, and I have not even had time to look at. I loved Ready or Not, but you already know the problem. Yeah, the censorship thing. First of all, the funny thing about that is I have not even really addressed it, and I'm not going to get to it tonight because there's too many other things to talk about. The pic you paused on is terrifying. This is just the beginning of his stream. That is like the first clip that that's the first clip that pops up when you just pause the video before it gets going. So this one's 11 minutes long. I don't think we need to play all of it, but he does bring up their actual statement. And there's a few pieces of this I wanted to touch on because it actually goes hand in hand with some other stories that have come out. So let me see here.
To discontinue online services. We are saying you can shut down your games whenever you want, but you have to do that responsibly.
Yeah, guys, I've been looking at picking up Ready or Not for like a year now, and it's been on sale. It's been on, all sorts of wish lists, and I just haven't actually. Wait, hang on a second. I take that back. I 100% take that back. I think I have Ready or Not, and I've just never played it. Hang on a second. Oh my god, guys, I bought this and never even played it. Oh man. Oh wow. Yeah, I must have picked this up on sale. And I think I even have the DLC for some of it, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I've got the official soundtrack in library. I think it's the Home Invasion. Yeah, Home Invasion set is what I got. And I never even played it. Oh my god, that's terrible. That is terrible. Usually at one time where it comes to gaming, I'll install a game from my library or my jump drives of GOG bought games and play until completion or boredom sets in. I don't bounce games. See, Zav, I'm more like you in that respect because, again, CS2 or Rivals for you is like me playing Insurgency or Starship Troopers. It's just my comfort, Consumer. No, what it is I have this well-intentioned, idealistic idea in my head that one of these days I'll have plenty of time to sit down and stream a game or just play it for my own enjoyment, and that time never comes. Because in the middle of that, I have the baseball season for my kids that would never end, which finally ended a week ago, taking over my family's business, all the hell that comes with that, and then everything else in life. It's insane. You never like that Fuji's song? I don't know which one you're talking about. Still kind of confused about the situation. I think creepy looking dude is in the right. Yes, Cage. Creepy looking dude is in the right. All right, good game, awesome lore, and BS devs. That kind of sums it up.
In a way that doesn't take back rights you already sold to customers.
So, Cage, a summary for you. He wants to stop the pattern of developers and publishers putting out games and then being able to shut down those games without creating a better end-of-life, plan for when the game gets shut down. So, for example, if they're not going to make an offline mode for a game, turn it over to, the players to allow to have private servers hosted or figure out ways to make offline modes. It pretty much solves all the problems because it alleviates like the issue of the publishers or the developers having to create a way to make the game playable offline if they just turn it over to fans who can do it themselves, right? Ross is a good boy, yeah. From what I've taken from this, that's right. So that's all they're saying. And they're not saying it's retroactive. They're not saying that games that already exist have to do this. It's games in the future moving forward need to do this. The cycle you spent $300 on. Yo, Zav, did you get any of that money back?
Yeah, some people forget that companies have to sell you some rights to begin with to even play the games. We understand that it can be disappointing for players, but when it does happen, the industry ensures that players are given fair notice of the prospective changes in compliance with local consumer protection laws. Okay, well, first off, I'm not a lawyer, but this guy at WBS Legal is, and he thinks Ubisoft probably broke the law when it shut down the crew, giving players only 3 months' notice. when they should have given more like 2 years. Yeah, you know, Ubisoft, one of your members.
Yeah, and again, this is focusing on the fact that the members are all like freaking gigantic publishers. A lot of them, of course, who have live service titles, so they have a vested interest in seeing this Stop Killing Games initiative killed.
So this is probably a false statement out the gate. But you know what? That's not even our issue. So I don't even care.
Tekla, that's the best description ever. Hairy in places that shouldn't be, and bald where you expect him to have hair. Oh my god. Wait, nobody got anything back but like purchases within 2 weeks of the shutdown announcement or something? Holy crap. See, that's exactly the problem right there.
How much notice you're giving to players. What I care about is that you're not depriving them of their purchase. Private servers are not always a viable alternative option for players, as the protections we put in place to secure players' data, remove illegal content, and combat unsafe community content would not exist and would leave rights holders liable. Okay, several things here. We have to break it down. Private servers are not always a viable alternative option. So they're saying for a new game concept, which hasn't even been made yet, sometimes there is no way they can add an end-of-life plan to the design? Their programmers' fingers simply can't type that? I would love to see them say this to a room full of developers.
Did I miss a comment, Cage? Let me see if it censored you. Hang on a second. They have games that already destroy your computer and have bad community policing like Roblox. That's another thing we're going to get into, dude, because there are games that are from developers, from publishers, like, again, Activision, Microsoft, and all that, that already have security issues that are currently being hosted. It looks like Lawrence from The Office Space. You're not wrong there. It looks like he eats corn the long way.
I think the industry would be surprised how viable it was if the law said you can't take back the
Hey,
limited
man,
license rights you already sold to the customer. And this next part. Yes, this part is true. Players will absolutely be getting a rougher and more wild experience playing an unsupported game. I happen to know a thing or two about that. So yes, that's the nature of anything unsupported. That's not a good excuse to destroy what people paid for. It just means they're on their own. But then they say this part. It would leave rights holders liable. Okay, I am not a lawyer, but my first impression is this strikes me as very not true.
Yeah, again, if they say, you know, our end-of-life plan is that we're going to turn the game over to you guys, you can make your own private servers, and we hold no responsibility for what happens with that content, how could they still be liable? That doesn't make any sense. That sounds like a bullshit excuse. They'll say it to a room full of developers because they'll blacklist their ass if they go against it. You're not wrong there, Black Cat. You're probably dead on with that one. So I think Pirate Software is playing the villain. No, I think here's the thing. I think he has taken enough heat that it's personal at this point with him. So I don't think it's just him playing the villain. I think he honestly means what he says. And he's got that one tooth that hates all the other teeth. Companies already have rigid protections on platforms they run, and they can always update the EULA. There's a lot of things they could do. It sounds like this is a lot of like coping, a lot of gaslighting going on here. Yeah, Pirate Software is the villain. He's the main villain.
The way I read this, they're saying they are incapable of writing an end-user license agreement that absolves them of all liability on shutdown. Like planning for end of life, apparently it's just not possible. So me, as a layman, I'm wondering what's the problem with adding a line like this to the EULA? Once our company ends support, we are not responsible for any and all issues that arise from users continuing to operate the game in a discontinued and unsupported state.
Yeah, they're creating hurdles that they don't really have to jump over. You're 100% correct about that. It's artificially created issues.
And absolve ourselves from any and all liability pertaining to its continued use. There's probably a better way to say that, but you get the idea. They seem to be saying a line like that is just impossible to write. See, I'm puzzled by this because as a consumer, I've seen all kinds of things have support end, but I still get to keep them? I'm just on my own. That's a very common thing.
Yeah, actually, here's the thing about that, too. I think about this all the time, and here's a prime example of it. I think he addresses this in the video later on, too. I might be skipping over this. A lot of software, they'll put out statements, month after month after month saying, okay, at the certain point, we're going to stop updating the software. We're going to stop offering support for the software. Case in point, at my work, I know I've talked about it before. I had this computer that was so old that it didn't even have Wi-Fi. The damn thing was like a freaking old HP or Dell computer. Oh, excuse me. That was still running on like Windows XP or something, right? Windows Vista, who knows? Thing was old. So what I ended up doing was there was this invoicing software on that computer that they had shut down support for like 7 years previous. So I needed to move it to my new computer. I had the CD, but I didn't have the the serial key. I didn't have the code to activate it on my new computer. I had to dig through all the files and the program files for the software itself to eventually, years later, find the key to move it over to the new computer. And there was nobody I could talk to because they had already said, we no longer support this software. We've moved on. We're doing something else now. I think they're making like SSL certificates now instead. And there was nothing I can do. But they had sent out that information. They had said it many times that we are going to discontinue support for this software. They didn't say, now you have to destroy your disk. You have to no longer use this software. They simply said, we're not going to support it after this date. It's really not that hard. Pirate's a furry. Slimy. My thing about Pirate is he does this thing where he likes to talk like this. Like he sounds like a discount, like Howard Stern. It's like he's faking the Howard Stern shock jock kind of voice. I don't know. Microsoft's going to stop using Windows 10, but soon, and warn us of security flaws. No reason why the game companies can't do the same thing. Yeah. Scary Movie Butler making YouTube videos now is wild.
I think we need a lawyer to weigh in on this. So if we take them at their word, it sounds like they're concerned about protecting customers. Okay, but their solution is customers must have their purchase taken away from them forever. We have to destroy our customers' games to protect them from themselves. I normally don't like to use this phrase because it's thrown around too much, but this is beyond Nanny State. This is more like Terminator State.
Yeah, this is like the whole, the old Ronald Reagan quote of the scariest five. How many words is it? I'm from the government and I'm here to help. What is it? I'm here. That would be 8 words, I think. Anyways, the scariest sentence you can ever hear is I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Because again, you don't want these people messing with all of your ins and outs of your daily activities and being a nanny and telling you, okay, now for your own safety, for your own protection, you have to get rid of this thing now, right? Like Mooch on his PS channel. I don't think I've seen that one. Straight out of Boondocks. Yeah, what is the Moldavius fig tree thing, guys? What is that? Why is it always interjecting? Because I can't figure out a good rhythm and flow for the timer. Because it's on a timer for a certain number of lines, for a certain number of words over a certain number of minutes. And I can't find a good ebb and flow of it. Hey, Joe Darkness. Microsoft scum, there's no reason to exclude PCs from Windows 11. They just want the money. 100%. Sorry guys, they're censoring a lot of chat, so I can see it on Streamlabs if I catch it quick enough, but a lot of what I'm looking at on YouTube chat is not appearing over here, so I might miss some stuff. Bend over and spell run. Thor lied about his job at Blizzard. Well, I know that he got the job because his daddy worked there. And then he complains about how people think he's a Nepo baby, even though he is.
Take a game like Star Siege Tribes. For all purposes, that's a game intended to run online with other people, or over a network at the very least. It was discontinued in 2004, but you can still run it today, online. This lobbying group seems to be saying that's a liability. No one should have been permitted to run this game after 2004, and it's a mistake that this game is still allowed to exist because of the risk to consumers. We would have destroyed every last copy of it back in 2004 if we could.
Can you imagine if they tried doing this shit with Age of Empires 2? Age of Empires 2 is still the biggest RTS game practically out there, and that game is like, what, 25 years old at this point? And imagine if they said one day, all right, you know what, we're going to shut down the online servers. We can't allow online multiplayer anymore because the game is so old. We're moving on to other things. We're on to Age of Empires 7 now at this point. So we're just going to shut this down, right? But you guys can't make private servers. You guys can't host private servers because for your safety, we have to discontinue this. Thor ran a business in Second Life selling furry avatars. Oh my god, I didn't know that. That's fantastic. Yeah, the Age of Empires 2 remake. Well, it's the definitive edition. I don't think it's a quote-unquote remake, is it? It's the same game, just it's remastered. Not like Age of Empires 4, which is ass. Age of Empires 4 is terrible. Ross's camera set about 6 inches too low. Well, to be fair, guys, you're watching this on my cropped screen. If we went to this screen here, well, it's still pretty bad. Yeah, that doesn't do much better. That's not a whole lot better. Yeah, so Geek, it's... I don't know if it's considered a true remake or just a remaster. Because it's basically... they didn't really change anything about the game itself, other than it's got better graphics now, so... Been a thing a year ago in r/furry, and Pirate Software is allegedly linked to the Maldavius fig tree. Oh my god. See, I'm finding out new lore about this guy that I never knew. That's crazy.
We couldn't then, but we can now. So that's our business model with new games. See, I take that as extremely hostile to both customers and preservation. So my question is, why can't we allow customers to continue playing the game but adding a splash screen saying something like, warning, this game is no longer supported. Running it could represent a risk to your security. We assume no liability for what may happen as a result.
See, I think that would be totally fine, and that's something that you could absolutely see them doing. I want to go back to Joe's comment here, though. My ex-company has 4,000 plus PCs, which are end of life thanks to Microsoft. If you want to continue Windows 10 support, they want $60 per PC to support per year. We told them to F off and went to Chrome Flex. That is insane. That is crazy. Wow. Kind of overpriced for PS5? Well, okay. Going back to the conversation we're going to get into in a minute. Game Pass. And I hate to just, be all nonchalant about it and go, well, just get Game Pass. Because I'm not saying just pay for Game Pass. I'm just saying one of the benefits about it is those first-party titles, those games that are made by studios owned by Microsoft, it's going to be on Game Pass day one, Yeah, $40 for PlayStation, that's crazy. A furry Andy Roach is out in games. Yeah, it's a true lack of character, you're right. That's how monopolies are formed with government regulations, but notice they're afraid of this intervention. Yeah, it's really funny because you said previously if what the initiative was asking for was actually costly to implement, the companies would love it. They love regulations that only they can afford. You're right, that's 100% right. He live solved a Tunic playthrough, left the room and checked his phone. Oh, dude, I saw stuff about that, Quillpig, where he actually would pretend to be a genius playing games because he would Google or watch videos ahead of time on how to play it, and then pretend that he's figured out how to solve the problem in the game. Hey, Mahendra, welcome back. I mean, look, I'm legit. When I stream a game, if I've never played it before and I look like I'm retarded playing it, that's because I'm legitimately retarded. I'm not going to pretend to be some amazing, gamer if I'm not. Plus, playing games while I'm distracted is really difficult. Oh, he is really into bugs, Potato? He studied entomology for a while before dropping out. See, I'm okay with that. I think bugs are pretty cool, to be honest. But, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Monopoly is formed by making their servers being the only way to make software function, yeah. See, Zav has it figured out right there. That's it right there. Government intervention is cringe when I disagree with it, and epic when it's doing something I want. That's, yeah. I mean, in a nutshell right there. All right. What's it?
That strikes me as a reasonable compromise. In addition, many titles are designed from the ground up to be online only. In effect, these proposals would curtail developer choice by making these video games prohibitively expensive to create.
So here's my thing about this, and this is a big part of what Pirate Software criticized about the live service aspect of this. I don't care. I truly don't care. If this curtailed the amount of online only games or live service games, games with battle passes, games with monetization, and again, loot boxes and shit, and this did away with a lot of those kind of experiences, I wouldn't care, because most of what I've been playing is single player games or games that you could host locally on servers and stuff. So I have no problem with this. You know, they did this article. I think it wasn't The Gamer. One of these websites, these legacy media sites, talked about how surprising it was that people are still playing single player games. People don't understand. Most people still play single player games. We don't need these live service games all the time.
Okay, this part is a little more complicated because every game is different. But when I see this, I'm thinking of auto manufacturers saying how they can't afford to make cars if they're required to include seatbelts in them. Because no one ever made that argument back in the 60s. However,
yeah, so Ghost, that is the thing. That is the one argument that Pirate Software had about this entire thing, which I can genuinely sympathize with, because Pirate Software, I guess, claims to be like a libertarian or whatever. And he's like, why do we want more government intervention when governments suck? Okay, that statement I can agree with. But then he went out of his way to be like, well, you guys are minimizing the legal process and you're wasting lawmakers' time. It's like, which one is it? Either lawmakers suck and the government sucks, or you're simping for the government. You can't have it both ways, right?
I think there is a big piece being left out of the discussion here. A whole lot of the complexity and cost of making an online game comes from all the microservices involved. And guess what? We don't need the vast majority of them for an end-of-life build. I talked to a developer and he gave me a big list of examples we don't need. Payment processing, anti-cheat, analytics, voice chat.
Hey, Burner. You also pro 2A that it's odd to me. Oh, I get it. The whole Second Amendment thing to people who aren't in the United States, I understand that there's a lot of cultural differences in terms of like the way Americans look at it, you know? Not all corruption is bad. Not all government intervention is bad or cringe. See, but again, it's the idealistic way of looking at it. Sure, in an ideal world, a government that does exactly what I want it to do would be perfect. The issue is when that government... So somebody had posted this earlier today about... I can't remember if it was about like the Epstein type stuff or... Oh no, it was... Speaking of guns... These, gang wars that go on in Chicago, right? Where you have all these idiots shooting at each other and everything. And it's like, it's every freaking weekend. You see videos of these, gangs and shit just shooting at each other, hitting people as they're passing by, not actually hitting their target. And someone's like, man, we just need drones with, precision, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. Because the minute you start doing that to the gangbangers, then whoever is in charge in the government's going to do that to anybody else that they view as a threat. Like, I don't want anybody having that kind of control, you know? But he doesn't trust the European Union. Yeah, I get that. And V has, he lives in Romania, which not that long ago was a communist country. So that I understand his take on it. I get that.
There's so much here that's not necessary to just run the damn game. In fact, I have a quote from him. We are not asking for 98% of the game. We're asking for the 2% of game logic from main gameplay functionality. Except even that's not true. We're not asking for that directly. We're asking for the same rights we already bought for the game, which they can probably fulfill by providing that 2%, as he puts it. So
the thing is, I understand the argument too about like with Switzerland and stuff with the mandatory service and having a rifle ready and all that. Without being like too anarchist, because I'm truly not an anarchist. I'm not even a libertarian. Like I said before, I'm like a small L libertarian. I believe like as limited government as possible, but I also accept that despite not liking the quote unquote police state, I accept that we have to have police because there are plenty of idiots who are going to do shit if we didn't have police, right? So that being said, the one part of me that's a little bit more anarchist is I go, okay, the entire point of the Second Amendment is if we needed to overthrow a tyrannical government, we have the means to do so. But we are so scared to ever say anything that sounds like we want to overthrow the government that it's like our weapons are useless if you're not willing to use them. And that's not me calling for like, the overthrowing of the government. It's just accepting the fact that it seems silly that we state that we have the right to bear arms if we feel the need to overthrow a corrupt government, but then I don't think we would ever actually do it. I don't know. It seems like I'm pro 2A, but I also recognize that the reason we have those probably won't ever come to pass.
Let's cut out all this extra crap before we start talking about how cost prohibitive an end-of-life build is. Now, that does mean designing games so it's easier to turn off all these microservices is a very good idea. And that also means it may not be practical for some existing games. Good thing for the industry, the initiative is not retroactive.
Yeah, and Potato, that is true, that there are people who say they want small government, but then they go, but we need somebody for this, or I don't want this to be allowed and stuff. I mean, there are arguments to be made about, you know, bias when it comes to what everyone's idea of like small government is. Like, again, we were talking about it before, about how in an ideal world, no matter how big or how small the government is, they'll do everything that you want them to do and nothing that your opponents want them to do, you know? Well, but Black Cat, that would require them to actually come for me, though. Giggity. That's what she said. No, so for real. It's one of those things where it's like, I think we would eventually get to that point where they would try to confiscate people's weapons, but I don't think we're there yet. So it would have been interesting to see had she won. I don't know.
And most publishers already have a local test environment for a game, which I'm told is bad practice not to. That's half the battle right there. So this statement? No, this one is meme level.
Yeah, so I'm gonna address what Oblithian said because I think he's spot on, and then we'll get off the topic. I mean, there's been justification to use 2A several times over the years, but people will usually let things go way too far before taking action. That's true. You have president scooping up legal residents and citizens on the street without due process. I'm not even going to touch that one. We're talking about stop killing games, guys. You can argue about that in the comments.
I do not believe the industry when they say this is so expensive it's not possible. Especially when it's been done many times before. This is seatbelts all over again. And how about getting input from big European developers not on this list? Like
well, and Joe, here's the thing too. There was a lot of this emphasis being put on, again, the online aspect of these games. Well, how are you going to make an online game available offline? That being said, no one says the experience has to be great, right? Nobody says, okay, if Apex Legends decides that after being around for 5 or 6 years, they're going to go offline, you can keep all your microtransactions, you can keep all your skins, you can keep all your battle pass rewards and all that stuff, but now the single player experience is going to suck ass. No one said it has to be a good experience, but you have to provide the end-of-life ability to play that game on your own. They could make the world's worst single-player campaign. It could be the worst thing you've ever played, but as long as they honor that part of their agreement, they're off the hook. You sell it, we own it, very simple business. I mean, it used to be that way, right?
Project or Larian. We welcome the opportunity to discuss our position with policymakers. Yeah, I bet you do. And those who have led the European Citizens Initiative in the coming months. Well, they'll probably be glad to know that's actually not me. I am not the official spokesperson for the initiative. I'm ineligible. I'm more of a super promoter. The reason I'm making this video is I want to inoculate people against these bad faith arguments. Remember, everything they're saying here is their excuse for taking away your purchase with no time frame given and destroying it forever.
Or someone just hosts a server like some of the older games or Minecraft. Exactly. I mean, there are still plenty of games, plenty of examples of older games that are being hosted on private servers. And again, you give people the option. Again, a huge piece of this is allowing players to have the option to do these things themselves. This is another part that Pirate Software kind of skimmed over when he talked about the extent of like what it would cost to do this. It's not about like, you know, forcing these companies, or he brought up like indie developers and AA developers and stuff like, oh, it's going to be impossible for these indie developers to make an end of life experience where you take an online only game and make it, you know, offline. He didn't, again, he focused on the indie part of it. It's absolutely insane. You kind of wish the Crew had one? Well, here's the Crew's offline or end of life plan, the Crew 2. Ubisoft, the reason they're getting sued over the Crew is because they pulled that game offline to force people to buy the sequel. That's it. That's the entire point. I don't think they have any obligations to have bots or single player modes. Having private servers is fine. Well, there you go. On Genshin, all the data is stored on your PC. Then someone joins on co-op. There's another mode, then they can join your PC. So, you know, funny thing about that is I think the original Guild Wars game was the same way. Obviously, there were servers that hosted the game, but all the files, all the maps, all the quests, all had to load to your computer before you could actually load into the screens and stuff. So I'm pretty sure games like Guild Wars also had it where you basically had all the data saved to your PC.
Is this a good enough excuse for you? It isn't for me, especially when they're lying. I think that's worth taking into consideration. And on that note, they also released a longer statement. But do I really need to go over this? Why provide...
It's funny because I hadn't even seen the longer statement. So I'm going to stop with the video here because most of it's what we've already talked about before. But the funny thing about it is that they talk about the safety issue, right? About how, oh, if we let people host their games on their own servers or whatever, it's going to create this safety issue. And I think, I can't remember who brought it up earlier about the Call of Duty servers. So Gamepass just recently put Call of Duty World War II, which I thought was a pretty damn good multiplayer game, to be honest. But I'm not the biggest like Call of Duty guy, so again, take that for what it is. I thought Call of Duty World War II was pretty good. Call of Duty World War II got pulled offline amid hacking claims after it starts messing with PCs and citing random lawyers. So what I saw was people were having their PCs taken over just in the middle of playing this game, okay? So what doesn't make sense to me is that they're going to claim that you can't have private servers or host your own servers for these games that, you know, that have been discontinued by these large publishers. But the games that are on Game Pass right now are being hacked. Like, make it make sense. They do cloud save, but they could move that locally. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's a peaceful life, single mode games. Dude, honestly, most of my games, other than, like I said, when I play Insurgency, which that game's got a limited shelf life. I'm sure within a few years that game will be taken offline probably. AAA profits are in the billions. I don't think they care what bug size indies do other than farm ideas for their games. Yeah, no, it has nothing to do. Pirate Software is the one that brought up indies. It has nothing to do with, of course, what this is about. The indie. How many notable indie games are there that are live service games? Okay, not many. Not by comparison to the amount that AAA is doing. You just started World War II the other night. Call of Duty World War II feels like Battlefield gameplay. All I remember is I thought the multiplayer was really satisfying. The campaign was decent. I got most of the way through it before I stopped playing it because that's just apparently a trend with me. But Call of Duty's multiplayer I thought was really good. Yeah, that was with Titanfall, but okay, so the thing about Titanfall, I remember this when it happened. The Titanfall hack was a guy who was trying to get EA to fix issues with Titanfall, and at that point EA had acquired Respawn, and they put all their eggs into the Apex Legends basket. So the entire Titanfall hack was the guy trying to get EA's attention, and it didn't work. Because the guy, I mean... you can say it's admirable or, you know, it's virtuous or not to do that hacking for a cause, but at the end of the day, it didn't accomplish anything. You haven't even played Call of Duty World War II? Well, again, I don't know how many people are even playing it anymore, but they put it on Game Pass, and I saw that the other day. I was looking at what's currently on Game Pass, and this has been a couple good months for Game Pass. I'm not going to lie. There have been a lot of good games that have come on there. But it says right here, if you've been planning to play Call of Duty World War II, do not do that for the moment because certain versions of Call of Duty World War II may randomly show you, I didn't know that one, send you insulting notepad messages and at worst fill your computer with ransomware. As written by PC Gamer, Activision have taken the Xbox PC version of the World War shooter offline amid social media reports of a remote code execution exploit. This being a vulnerability that lets a hacker meddle with the game's code from afar using the developer's own programming language. Yeah, that's absolutely insane. You love Battlefield 3 and 4? I didn't play Battlefield. I played Battlefield 4. I got it, so I've played it, but it was like years after it came out. You'd love to see LimeWire start backing SKG. Oh my god, LimeWire. There's a flash from the past. We already have the tech for decentralized ledgers for peer-to-peer matchmaking, as well as could probably have leaderboards and stuff simulating everything a live service centralized experience. Did you guys see that freaking former CEO, Jack Dorsey of Twitter, is working on a phone that apparently uses Bluetooth to communicate with, like, to send messages. So basically, it just needs another device using the Bluetooth within like 300 meters, and I guess it bounces the message from phone to phone. I don't know how any of it's gonna work. I just saw something about it. No, I didn't play any of the Battlefield games. I was not like, I played a lot of first-person shooters on my previous systems, and then I spent a couple of years like hardcore just into Guild Wars. That's all I played. So then trying to get back to, like, you know, playing other games like RPGs and first-person shooters and stuff, I missed out on most of the Battlefields. World War II players have been posting screens and footage of peculiar sights and sounds during recent gunfighting or gun shooting expeditions. One message references lawyers who were involved in an Activision lawsuit against German companies selling cheat codes for Call of Duty games. Activision has yet to confirm or deny that these disruptions are due to an RCE, stating only that they've yanked the game offline. Dude, these people, I've mentioned it before, Cage, I think you're the one that pointed out to. None of these guys have an editor that's worth a damn. They've already had like 2 typos, and then here they say online instead of offline. So again, this is a thing. This kind of flies in the face of what they were just saying in the video. It's basically Bluetooth internet. Yeah, I guess that's how it's going to work. I don't know. Still feel like anything from PC Gamer has and the like has some agenda. Dude, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The only, like, website that I've seen as far as the actual, you know, gaming journalist goes that doesn't seem to have an agenda either direction for the most part is Insider Gaming. They tend to have pretty decent articles. Battlefield 1 is the best FPS. I think most people feel that way about Battlefield. I only like the Battlefield mechanics of the originals where it's very free, like 1942, 2042, and I think 2. I didn't like Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a weird one because Call of Duty, they seem to change like the developers behind it every other Call of Duty. And so there's those ones that are more, they say, are arcadey. And I'm like, is that just another way of saying shitty? Because the arcadey ones look like shit to me. Like, I tried playing Black Ops. I think that's what I'm thinking of. That is described as being more of an arcade game. And I'm like, no, it just plays like shit. I just don't like it. Can't stand the lack of editors. It's so bad, dude. Miss Tacoma? What? Oh, what did Joe say? Hang on a second. Oh, Mesh Telcoms. Miss Tacoma. That'd be hilarious. I don't want to see Miss Tacoma. You don't want to see the average looking person in Tacoma. Mobile mesh networking. Yeah, Infinity Ward is one of them. You're right. I think that's who it was. So several of you guys had brought this up. This is a thing, but apparently it's always been a thing. And it's making the rounds on Twitter because that's just the way it goes. Then, of course, it gets community noted and people start freaking out about it left and right. Yeah, Mahendra, I'm streaming on Twitch, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and Twatter. I know you don't want me streaming on Twitch, but I'm streaming on Twitch until they ban me. So we'll see how long it lasts. Besides, I have it, so there's no reason not to. Alright, so from this Does It Play account on Twitter, Ubisoft has completely lost all plots imaginable, forcing people to destroy all copies of a product, legally bought copies. Wording is interesting though, so it is indeed a product, not just a license, and it is in our possession as in we own it, not just a temporary access. Medal of Honor games used to be a thing. Tacoma women, I'm picturing got methed up women. Well, to be fair, there are areas in like the Tacoma area, because Tacoma's a big city, kind of like, it's not as big as Seattle, but it's got a huge port. And so there's parts of Tacoma that aren't as bad from what I remember. It just depends. Yeah, I think Hunter's the only person on Twitch right now. Picturing a lot of greasy chicken too then. Medal of Honor games used to be a thing. The old Medal of Honor games were awesome. Loved them. No way a cop's showing up and taking your disc of a video game over at EULA. No, it wouldn't be a cop. It would have to be some sort of like the Pinkertons, right? Some sort of private security that they hire. So in the EULA, for termination, it says, The EULA is effective from the earlier of the date you purchase, download, or use the product until terminated according to its terms. You and Ubisoft or its licensors may terminate this EULA at any time for any reason. Termination by Ubisoft will be effective upon a notice to you or termination of a Ubisoft account, or at the time of Ubisoft's decision to discontinue offering and or supporting the product. This EULA will terminate automatically if you fail to comply with any of the terms and conditions of the EULA. Upon termination for any reason, you must immediately uninstall the product and destroy all copies of the product in your possession. But apparently, Ubisoft is not the only one. Sega, according to Chris Does It Play, says Sega has a similar clause in their EULA as well that also states you must destroy the product if agreement is terminated by either yourself or Sega. This clause isn't mutually exclusive to Ubisoft. I wonder how many companies actually expect you to destroy your copy. I think most of them, to be honest. Seattle protest died once US aid did. Coincidence? Probably not. Tacoma does have an aroma. Oh my god. So the Tacoma aroma, I always heard as a kid, was from a pickle factory, like a pickling factory, right, for pickles. I think it's actually from staining wood or something. I don't know. But it is. It's the Tacoma aroma. It's an acquired scent. I actually kind of like it when I drive through Tacoma. It's not bad. It's a weird, funky smell. It's almost like a fart, but not as disgusting. Should we start reading the terms of service every time we buy a new game? Probably. So here's the thing, geek. It's kind of like when you're buying a car and you're signing all the paperwork, and you're like, here's what this says, here's what this says, here's what this says, and you just sign an initial at the bottom, or signing a lease, like renting an apartment or a house. And it seems insane that you'd have to actually go through and read it with like a fine-tooth comb, and you go, come on, it can't be that bad. I'm just going to sign it and move on with my day, right? Ubiflop games are harder to pirate due to all the online requirements. I mean, that's the idea, though, of any game that has, like, what, the DRM is to keep it from being pirated, and of course then they get cracked within a day of releasing. Town where I grew up with, yeah, exactly. Yeah, breweries, any sort of, like, again, I don't know if it's pickling or if you guys can Google it, the Tacoma aroma. I can't remember if it's from like timber, like that's sitting in the water. I don't know. Ooh, beet rendering. I used to live near a mushroom farm, okay? And I was not out in the sticks. I was in a city, but there was property nearby and they had a freaking mushroom farm and that shit smelled terrible. Have AI read the terms of service for you. See, Burner knows what to do, man. Well, Cage, we all like our own farts in weird ways, you know? You better hire a lawyer and start sending him screenshots. Not reading all those corporate poems? Yeah, exactly. Who cares if you don't own anything? Have you thought of the corporations? Exactly, Cups and Piddles. Hey, look, there's a real person over on Twitch. Holy crap. I mean, besides you, Hunter. I don't want to forget about Hunter. Let me see. Most of the hackers retired, or they got hired by their companies. So this one from Sega says the same thing. Upon termination, you must destroy all copies of the product. I love how they just call it the product. Sounds like they're like dealing dope or whatever. And of course, back to the gamer again. In comes the gamer to defend mega corporations. No, Ubisoft's EULA clause ordering you to destroy your games is not new, nor is it unique. These people are insufferable. He doesn't think I'm real. I know you're real. I know you're real. You're really mad because I haven't played Spider-Man yet, but you're real. Oh, all the de novo crackers are gone? Oh, I thought that they were still doing that. Where'd they all go? So it says Ubisoft being called out for a clause people have discovered in its license agreement that orders owners of its games to destroy them should the studio choose to end service. However, not only is the clause not new, as some have implied, but Ubisoft is far from the only studio. So they're trying to spin it as a normal, this is normal, so you guys stop complaining about it, but it's like all they're doing is pointing out, dude, if I was AI, I'd be a lot better looking. Yeah, they're defending it. They're pointing out that everybody's doing it. It's like, no, all you're doing is confirming that these companies all suck. Thank you for confirming that, you know? The clause in Ubisoft's EULA, the same one any of you will have agreed to if you have legally played... Oh my god, yeah, they're pulling out all the stops. that has been causing a stir is Clause 8, the termination clause. We already read that. Yes, that does mean what you think, that should Ubisoft decide to end service, not only can you no longer play it, but you have to destroy it. The clause has been making waves these past few days. The campaign is attempting to stop studios from making games unplayable months or years after gamers paid for them. Why is that a bad thing, though? I want to know how that's a bad thing. THG, that sounds familiar. Imagine having to actually read an EULA. I can't imagine. I don't think I have ever read through a single one my entire life. Part 3 and 2S every time is that they can change at any time and nobody knows what the original one was. Yeah, I mean, that's... And you would think that when you've read it once, then that it's going to be the same for all of them, but that's not true. Everyone's going to have different terms of service, right? So, and even then, you're going to read through it, not understand half of it, because again, it's just legal mumbo-jumbo jargon that you're not going to understand. Well, okay,
Thank you very much,
there
sir.
are people
You're a
defending
gentleman and a
corpos.
scholar.
Hey, Geek, thanks for following on Twitch, buddy. There are people defending corporations who work for a corporation, because again, all these legacy media sites are all owned by like 3 different companies. Yes, AAA moving towards online dependent games is part of their strategy to push gamers into subscriptions, 100%. And that ties into what we're going to get into in a minute with Gamepass too. And I've got my own mixed feelings about Gamepass, you know? I love it and hate it, all at the same time. Never done it. They do it intentionally to make it to where you don't read it. Yeah, no, I imagine forcing yourself to read that. Clearly people have been going through EULAs, in this specific case, Ubisoft with a fine-tooth comb and picking up on clauses. It's why it's been highlighted as an addendum, with some claiming Ubisoft added it in the wake of the Stop Killing Games campaign. Not only has it been there, but the same sentiment can be found that you've agreed to before playing other games from an array of different studios. So what? Like, so the hell what? Who cares? Check the video, the pirate software unraveling featuring a game developer. I'll take a look at that. I'll try to remember to put that into my YouTube watch list later on. Yeah, when they started doing it, they made excuses and tried to gaslight people into thinking it won't become like it is now. Yeah. So you've got a 20-year timeline, Cups and Piddles. It says, I think everything will become subscription eventually. Indies will thrive, and eventually subscriptions will be pushed back. That's my 20-year timeline. We gotta deal with this shit for 20 years? Seriously? Oh, man. That's insane. Okay. All of this is further evidence that we don't own our games, not even physical copies. Sure, no one is going to come knocking at your door. Maybe they will, to check if you still have a physical copy of The Crew and then stand there and watch you while you throw it into a bonfire. But that the clause is there is wild all the same. Also, even though dunking on Ubisoft is the oh man, they're so salty, is the thing to do right now, it's far from the only studio ordering you to destroy your games whenever it decides it's time for you to stop playing them. See, here you go, and they're already getting, shit in the comments here, exactly. Imagine the gamer that doesn't even get that many comments on their articles, having people who have actually made an account just to shit on their article. I love it. A lot of it's to avoid lawsuits when they break the law or harm other people. Yeah, possibly. Damn, Twitch is so weird. Oh, what? You don't like all of your different pride heart emojis? Come on, man. Yeah, if I cared more, I'd try to get better emotes made for Twitch and YouTube and all that, guys. I apologize. Maybe next year, when I finally figure out this whole YouTube and videos and streaming thing, maybe we'll work on new emotes and all that and stuff. I miss shareware. Cool Pig, you know what shareware was for me? Microsoft Messenger, Windows Messenger. Talking to my buddies on there, sending them files one at a time. That was my shareware. Or downloading things on LimeWire and hoping you didn't get a software. When I grew up, purchasing a consumer software license was perpetual. It did not come with expiration dates. Yeah, but the thing is, these don't have expiration dates per se either. It's one of those whenever we feel like it situations. 3/5 of your emotes are your cats and one is your logo. I mean, to be fair, I should do more of my cats because my cats are freaking adorable. So this one here on Twitter is amazing. Do nothing, win, another Gabe classic. Talking about how you got Warner Brothers, Supercell, Microsoft, Nintendo, Ubisoft, Sony, Sega, and EA. Guess who's not on the list? Steam. Valve. Like, yeah, course they're not. Yeah, you guys got a party going on over there on Twitch now. You got like 3 people in there. Whoop, whoop. All right, so that takes us to the Game Pass portion of this, and we'll try to wrap it up. I got like 2 hours of sleep last night, so I don't plan on being up super late. 76 did that. You're forced to own 2,738 different pride flags. Dude, it's so insane. It's the worst thing ever. Like that was before I started really like making videos when I was just streaming games. That was what first kind of tipped me off that something was getting kind of weird with gaming. Was like 3-4 years ago when every game that had a battle pass or, you know, cosmetics and stuff, it's like, here's your pride flag, here's your trans pride flag, here's your you know, European, or you're not European, that would be racist. Here's your Latin heritage badge. It's like, why do we have all this? Even if you buy, say, a Plex perpetual license, they can cancel at any time. I think do you mean Flex perpetual license? I don't know. Simple fix, consumer ownership can only be canceled by the publisher on the date of end of copyright. Not sure how that would work. Reclaim the rainbow. Good luck with that. I think the rainbow's been beat to shit at this point. All right, so from Insider Gaming, Arcane Studios founder brands Game Pass unsustainable and damaging. Now, I'm gonna be transparent and give you guys my honest opinion about Game Pass. It is fantastic as a person who doesn't have a whole lot of time to, well, not just time. If you don't want to spend $60 on a game that you're not sure is going to be worth your money, Game Pass is great. And it has a shitload of titles on it. Now, the negative side of Game Pass is it has a lot of crap as well. So there's a lot of those old games that you're never going to go back and play because a lot of them just flat out suck. But the advantage of if there are studios that are owned by Microsoft that you know that those studios are going to have day one games and you can play them, Game Pass could be beneficial for certain people. And I say certain people because there's, you know, it's not going to be great for everybody, especially depending on how many different games you play. Like Zav talking about how, you know, he only plays like 4 or 5 rotating games. There'd be no point for him to have Game Pass. If I didn't have my kids using it as well, if I didn't use it on my computer, we have another computer that uses it, and then the Xbox, all using one account, and we just alternate, you know, who's playing what or whatever. That's how I make it worth my while, because I've got 4 people using it. If I was having to pay for it for myself, just the, you know, 18 to 20 bucks a month, and not using it for more than maybe 1 game every month or 2, I probably wouldn't keep it, you know? Sounds like Netflix subscription from 5 years ago. Well, it's really funny because a lot of people are comparing it to Netflix, and I think that there's like good and bad aspects to that as well. Game Pass works against the customer in the end, and see that's what I eventually get to tech-led, and that's how I eventually feel about it too. So for a while, all we've heard about is how Game Pass steals day one sales. And I look at it and go, no shit, Sherlock. Of course it's going to steal day one sales, right? Why would you buy a game day one for $60 to $80 that you know is going to be on Game Pass if you have Game Pass for anywhere from $10 to $20 a month? Of course you're going to just play it on Game Pass instead of buying it, you know? Yo, Burner, you are on Twitch too? Damn, man. So that being said, at the same time, it's going to push more and more people, more and more gamers towards a subscription service model rather than owning their own games. Now, slap in the face, even if you buy the game, Ubisoft's going to tell you you don't own it anyways. So there's a lot of moving parts to this. I think my entire point is that it's really confusing, and I understand a lot of different arguments because internally I'm conflicted on a lot of it as well. You need something to do with all your points? Dude, I quit worrying about Twitch points. I no longer care about Twitch points, man. Twitch is like my 3rd or 4th least favorite platform I stream on. So I've said before, I'll say it again. The only reason I stream these streams on Twitch now, when I was only doing game streams before, is that I hope at some point I say something, even as tame and, you know, PG-13 as I am, to get banned on Twitch. I'll take that W, you know. Only thing I could justify Game Pass for is try a game, but it isn't worth it for me. Right. Yeah. License not sold can even legally violate first sale doctrine, making it a service, not a product legally. Yeah. No, I know. Zav, I get it. I tried for years to, you know, make Twitch my main platform, and I spent hundreds of hours of my life I'll never get back streaming to one person on Twitch and trying my hardest to make that thing. Yeah, Twitch is all for Hassan, exactly. Hassan is the only person on Twitch other than Asmongold who's actually benefiting. You've got 310 points. I haven't even looked at the point system on Twitch in years, man. All right, so it says, it's no big secret that not everyone agrees with the Game Pass operating model. Historically, the service has come under fire for not doing as much for developers, especially smaller ones, than everyone might at first assume. One prolific personality recently took to social media to point out how the Game Pass service isn't all it's cracked up to be. I've been saying this for a while as somebody who's a relative fan of Game Pass, that I think it's net negative for developers and for customers, you know? You're almost a pure Nintendo player, yeah, and cool pick, I know, and you also buy a lot of physical, though. So buying physical is it's a win-win. There's no downside to buying physical at all. You only use Game Pass when you get a free sub to it. That's fair. And again, once in a while, I'll be able to get like a discounted deal on it from Costco or from like Instant Gaming or cdkeys.com. Paying full price for Game Pass sucks because it's like up to $20 a month now for Game Pass Ultimate. Yeah, Zab, it's really hard. It's really hard with the little bit of time I have to put all these streams together, videos and everything else to really care about Twitch, man. I thought Asmin quit Twitch. No, he didn't quit Twitch. He just laughs in Twitch's face because he just showed for the last 30 days. Now, I don't know if he's got a deal with Kick. Again, Kick, I think, is a platform full of view botting. I think the big streamers on Kick, 90% of them all have view botting going on. But Asmongold made 10 times the amount of money on Kick that he did on Twitch the last month. It was like 30,000 to 300,000. Like, not even close to comparable. So you don't even use your free Game Pass when you get them through Discord Nitro. Like I said, it has to be for the right person. It has to be for the right scenario. You have to be willing to try other games. You have to have the time to commit to them. Like, for example, my kids are playing some retarded game on Game Pass that they just downloaded that is actually pretty fun. It's like Mario Maker, but it's like a party game more. It's not as serious. And, you know, they're having a blast with it. It's super easy to view on Kick. You can literally just open multiple tabs of the streaming up on a PC without a VPN. Well, I mean, I'm talking like view botting, like thousands of viewers, like artificial viewers, like hundreds, if not thousands of viewers. I'm talking like hardcore view botting going on. Because there's a lot of these people that blow up out of nowhere and you go, why does this person have so many hundreds of viewers? They're some Gen Z retard, you know? I don't know. Then again, isn't Hassan a millennial? I shouldn't talk shit about Gen Z because I think Hassan's closer to my age than he is to Gen Z. You love Game Pass, you don't care. Cage, I get it. I get it. I look at it as a negative and a benefit. Like, I look at it from both sides. I understand. The thing is, the argument that I've seen from people who don't have an issue with Game Pass is that we've always had game rentals, right? We've always had the ability to go to a store and rent a video game. Now, the difference, I would argue, is that was prior to Netflix. That was prior to the streaming model, where you had to rent a game for like 2 days or a week at a time. And that's, again, there's a difference between renting a game for a couple of days to see if you want to buy it and playing games for $20 a month, putting hundreds of hours into them and never having to purchase it. Generation Z, that's the generation after millennials. Yeah, I think he's closer to 40. I don't know. You like that we have different models now, but you don't think it'll last very long? Look at the Chinese phone farms. Yeah, Joe, you're not wrong there. I know, Zab. That's why I had to say that, because I had to qualify that statement. I don't think you're a Gen Z retard. You're just Gen Z. I don't have a problem with Game Pass. The value I give it is just maybe $1 to $5 at most. It depends. So there was like a month or two, a couple months ago when Dark Ages, you know, the Doom game came out, and there was like 3 or 4 legitimately good games that I was curious to play. Let me pull up Game Pass right now, for example. Let me bring this up while we're talking about it. Hassan's 33. Well, he's not a Gen Zer then. He's a millennial. All right. So recently added to Game Pass, The Ascent. This game here, it's like a cyberpunk top-down game. It's ass, okay? Mecha Break is a free game on Steam. I don't know why that's even on here. Rise of the Tomb Raider, never played it, but, you know, maybe it's decent. Little Nightmares 2 is actually one that's in my cart on the Steam sale I'm going to pick up. Little Nightmares is a really awesome 3 to 4 hour side-scrolling game, so I'm going to pick up the sequel at some point. That's a good game, right? Call of Duty World War II, if I didn't already own a copy of it, I'd be interested to play that, but then we heard about the whole hacking issue. Alters. The Alters is one of those indie titles or AA titles that everyone's been raving about. FBC Firebreak, one of these titles that apparently is doing really shitty. I covered it in a video talking about Mind's Eye. The Mastercrafted edition of Space Marine, if you were interested in this game, that's on here now. Then you've got, of course, previously, you got Metaphor Refantasio. Before that, you had the Dragon Age, Doom, the Dark Ages. So, and then you have shit like Zao that nobody's playing, or Symphonia. I doubt this is Crypt Custodian, Barbie Project Friendship. Again, this is the shit that nobody's playing right there. But then there are some legitimately decent games that come out, and you go, okay, you know, those are good games. That's worth having, right? And Barbie Game of the Year, yeah. Oldest Gen Z is like 28. Well, there you go. Sans a cockroach. Yeah, and Zav, when would I play CS2? I can't because I'm never going to get good at it. I don't have the time to get good at it. And that's one of those games. No, I don't want Barbie. Although, just for shits and giggles, one time I made my kids download the Peppa Pig game and play it. And they were like, Dad, this sucks. I'm like, yeah, but it's funny. So it says, enter Ralph Colantonio, founder of Arcane Studios and creative director of most of the studio's games, such as Dishonored and Prey. He doesn't like Game Pass, and he's not alone. He says, I think Game Pass is an unsustainable model that has been increasingly damaging the industry for a decade, subsidized by Microsoft's infinite money, but at some point reality has to hit. I don't think Game Pass can coexist with other models. They'll either kill everyone else or give up. What happens when all that money runs out is the most vocal concern in my network, and one of the main economic reasons people I know haven't shifted to its business model. The infinite money thing never made any sense. Again, I think that that's a fair take to have. Like, I don't disagree with the guy. Is there any rule against making an indie game and naming it Game of the Year? That would be hilarious. That would be freaking awesome. Hey, Quarter Circle Jerks, appreciate it. Guy on the radio was like, all kids these days complaining about his kids who he called millennials. He said his oldest is 15, not a millennial. Chances are the dude himself was a millennial. You know, I don't like the millennial hate that I get, and it makes me sympathize for Gen Zers, because I know plenty of Gen Xers that suck. Not you, obviously, because like my oldest brother's a Gen Xer, and I haven't talked to him in 10 years, so there's that. Same goes for boomers. There's plenty of boomers who are awful too. But it's like, now that I'm getting that whole, oh, millennials, this, I'm like, I suddenly feel for Gen Z, because I spent about 5 or 6 years shitting on Gen Z, and now that I'm getting shit on by like Gen X and stuff, I'm like, this hurts, man. This is not fun. So this kid is basically Gen Alpha. Yeah, I've got 3 Gen Alphas in my house. Hopefully they'll be better than like some of the shit we've seen from Gen Z, though. I don't know. The gaming market has largely hit all of its consumers and won't expand anymore. I mean, how would it expand to this point, you know? The generation I hate is the Zoomers, Xers. And see, everyone's going to have the target of their ire for whatever reason. I look at boomers as the ones who have really ruined everything for the rest of us the most. So I would say let's give everybody a pass but the boomers. So then, of course, you had all the layoffs. Romero Games reportedly met with Microsoft a day before the publisher pulled funding for their studio, and there was no mention of the decision that put over 100 people out of work. This was another thing that broke the other day with all the Microsoft layoffs. You got Kotaku coming out here, Ethan Gach, saying Xbox failed at the most important part in games. It's not hard to figure out where Microsoft went wrong. I think that's fair, although I think a lot of the criticism that you've heard about how PlayStation 5 didn't have any games compared to Microsoft, I think Microsoft had more games for their new consoles, or at least for Game Pass, than PlayStation has ever had for PlayStation 5. Like, if we're being honest, come on. Gen Z sucks, you fear for your sons. Oh, as far as like dating age goes, yeah, that's gonna be rough. Ethan's a cursed name. Oh man, I don't hate any one generation like uniformly. I don't look at this and go, anybody over 60 I hate. No, I know plenty of awesome older people. It's just there are definitely generations that for whatever reason rub each of us the wrong way. And every generation takes its turn either getting shit on or shitting on a different generation. It's the weirdest thing. And I only noticed it more like the older I get, how much it hurts when your generation's getting picked on. Because everyone's like, oh, these damn millennials, they're so entitled and they're lazy and this and that. I'm like, Bitch, that is not me at all. Like, that's not the way that I was raised. It's not like the life that I've had. But yeah, Oblivion, the generational hate is annoying. It's always about lowest common denominators making the rest look bad. Hate the people, not the gen. Yeah, fair enough. There are definitely things that are generational issues, but I think, again, just like anything else, we kind of focus on the worst of the worst. So, here is the crazy one, though. Here is the crazy one in all this. Dating in this day and age is going to be rough, especially for a millennial like me. Yeah, Gen Z's got it rough, but I think millennials have it worse. As far as, like, if I were single right now, like, if my wife and I, if she passed away or if we, for whatever reason, split up, I would be single. I would never try dating. Hey, Sam Jackson, how you doing, buddy? I would not be able to try to actually go, like, date anybody. I'd be like, no, too much baggage. I just can't. Like, my mom, she's in her late 60s, and she can't find any guy in their 60s to early 70s because she doesn't want to date somebody outside of her age range, right? She can't find any of these guys who don't have, like, oh, God, like an ass load of baggage. Just, you know, all this abuse and years of trauma and bad relationships or dead spouses or, you know, all this crap. Been 25 years since Banjo Tooie. Still haven't gotten a proper third sequel. Same with Conquer. Dude, Conquer's Bad Fur Day. That takes me back. That was a great game. They own amazing IPs and do jack with them and keep around bad talent like 343 after 3 strikes right. Yeah, it's the weirdest thing, man. I don't understand. It's kind of like how Warner Brothers never used any that the Nemesis system that they had, right? Oh no, Wagon's got a 1-minute ad on Twitch. That's rough. Everything is objectively worse today than it was in the 80s. That is fair. That is fair. It says I was a witness to how good the boomers had it. Yes. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I was born in 1986, so I had the influence of the 80s going into the 90s, and the 90s were still pretty awesome. But I feel like I would have done better if I'd been born in the 70s, getting to enjoy the 80s, you know? Earthworm Jim, there you go. Bad time to transition from normal dating to online BS and not being allowed to talk to people. That, and here's the thing, guys. This is I'm gonna be a little bit of a sexist in this regard. And I look at, like I said, I can totally understand, like, from the women's perspective, like I said, with my mom's dating generation, she can't find a guy who doesn't have, like, years of trauma and skeletons in his closet that can just be normal for 5 minutes. On the flip side, I think, unfortunately, dating for men is in a really rough spot because, again, a lot of these women, whether it's Gen Z or millennials, they're just so superficial. They're either, they want everything, or they can't find a guy who's going to meet all their criteria. I don't know. I just feel like I feel bad. I feel bad for guys anywhere from that 25 to 40 range trying to date, you know? Conker's Bad Fur Day was funny because they took a Donkey Kong character and made it adult. I mean, the game slapped, okay? That game was awesome. I'm old, everyone point and laugh. Yeah, whatever, dude. Dating and meeting people requires body language and talking to people in the meet space. Yeah, well, that's the problem, though, is everyone is so used to just doing things online. Swipe left, swipe right, like, share, repost, you know, LOL, LMAO. Like, nothing is authentic. And then you have, like, again, talking about the female side of it, the Instagram crap. Like, everyone has, you know, 10 layers of filters on them and Botox and Brazilian butt lifts and implants and buccal fat removed from their cheeks. Hunter, I'm looking at you, buddy. Your angel goddess that you love. My daughter's Gen Z. She works, goes to medical school, and teaches too. It's the person, not the gen. That's awesome, Joe. That is awesome. I'm hoping that my daughter will be like that too one of these days. You know, when she grows up and she's ready to start dating, that she'll be one of those girls who's nice and normal and doesn't, you know, treat men meanly just because she's been told that men suck, you know? It's the West, though. East of Europe isn't as bad. Well, I guess that makes sense why there's... yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy is... No. Dude, even without the buccal fat scooped out of her face, she's still got them weird buggy eyes, man. I don't know. She got that Sid the Sloth thing going on. I don't get it. I just don't get it. You're going to DM me a link? All right, I'll take a look at it. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced buccal fat, isn't it? It's Buccle. Is it buccal fat, buccal fat, buccal fat? I don't know. I've never looked into having it removed, man. So I don't know how to properly say it. Or yeah, either that or they have an OF account or some sort of social media presence. Oh god, you saw a lady out with her husband and kids stopping to have them take photos of her posing in front of a lake. Yeah, that's the other one that I can't... Why do I keep saying buckle? Well, how about you sound it out for me? Because I'm not going to bother Google searching it right now. Better have a shotgun to protect my daughter. Mahendra, I have an arsenal to protect my daughter. Okay? I have more than a shotgun, don't worry. Dating requires third places, community, and regularly meeting the same person until you meet people you actually enjoy talking to. Yeah, no, that's the thing. And for people, a lot of people, there aren't the conventional ways to meet people that we used to have. You get lost in her bug eyes. Oh my god. So this, it's like mucus, so buccal fat. Okay. Well, it's spelled Buccle, so I'm gonna say buccal then. All right. Either way, freaking, what's her face? The chick that was on The Boys did the same thing and turned herself into a straight up Martian. Say buccal like mucus? I'm not gonna say bucus. Fine, we're just gonna say bucus now because Cool Pig says mucus. So, okay guys, it's bucus fat now. We're gonna add a U and an S that aren't even there. Now that tech is no longer a secure job, things are gonna get much worse, agreed. So, Microsoft doesn't factor revenue lost by first-party games in the Game Pass profitability. This is the funniest shit ever. Because all this time that I've been saying, you know, they talk about how Game Pass kills day one sales, how, you know, Game Pass is profitable because they've got 30 million people using Game Pass, how it doesn't affect the developers to have to put their game on Game Pass instead of getting, you know, selling the game. It's face fat. Yeah, I don't understand why people get removed. I don't know. Let me see here. I thought they were losing money from Game Pass. No, so Game Pass is finally profitable. I believe the last 3 years they have reported Game Pass as turning a profit. But that's with a caveat. Caveat. Looking like John Arbuckle. What the hell, man? John Arbuckle? He's got hair. I don't have hair. I look nothing like John Arbuckle. Other than the fact that I have an orange cat. Hey, Ivers. Well, she's sleeping. She's not going to let me move her. I don't know if you can see her hiding back there on the couch. Yeah, there she is right there. It's hot as hell in our apartment, so the cats are trying to find everywhere they can to just stay cool. And like clockwork, the dog is over here now. The only fat you care about. I'm gonna just imagine what you said there, okay. Yeah. 30 million is 30% of what they projected to have by now. Oh, interesting. I'm divorced, find a little Mexican girl, got you in the Navy, 2 sons together, we're cool, but divorced in 2012, no interest in dating. Yeah, Cage, that's fair. I think, unfortunately, that's where a lot of people are going to find themselves, and it's not just people who have already been married, had kids, currently divorced, who are just staying single after separating. It's the fact that so many younger people are just straight up not even having relationships anyways. That's some Eddie Munster hair. Dude, I'm telling you, so it was shaggy. I've had a receding hairline for years now. This is nothing though. So my older brother, he's my military brother, he is 2.5 years older than I am. His hair has crept back to where he's got nothing. Like I've got a very, very high hairline and the widow's peak and all that. But at least my hair on my head, I have no bald spots back here. Nothing, there's no bald area. It's just massively receding hairline. That poor guy, he has literally no hair. He's got like one little strip on the top, completely bald around, and he has to just kind of shave it down because he's military, so he can't have one little... it looks ridiculous. It's terrible. No, Quill Pig, I don't mind. When you get to the, you know, where your hair starts to recede and you're going bald or starting balding, male pattern baldness, that you can either accept it and go with it, or you can be sensitive about it and do what those guys who go through those midlife crises do, where they fly to Turkey or whatever and get the hair transplants or whatever, And that shit looks terrible. I'm sorry. I can't imagine right now, in my current age and shape, going to another foreign country to get, like, you know, hair stuck into the front of my scalp. I'm not, it's just no way. Not happening. Tell him to go Vin Diesel. Yeah, but he doesn't look like Vin Diesel. He's borderline 6 feet tall and just, I mean, I'm not going to say out of shape, but he's barely military shape, we'll say it that way. Every interaction you've had with women your age has been a net negative. It's not worth it. That's terrible. Yeah, Hassan hair plugs. There you go. He's got a 90s landing strip haircut. It's bad because he's got, like, legit, his hair is receded all the way to the back. He has to keep it super short. And then he's got, like, this tiny little strip. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, he doesn't look bad bald when he shaves his head completely bald. I don't know why he doesn't. It's the worst looking thing ever. He's female Air Force shape. There you go. No, he's Army. He's an officer, but he's been in for almost like 15 years now. So at his age and all that, his PT is not as intensive as it used to be when he was younger. If I was less responsible and got someone pregnant when I was young so that I have kids, I wouldn't even try to date. Ironic. Yeah. No, it's tough. It's crazy. I get that it's rough out there, you know. You hate PT? Are we talking about the same kind of PT? All right. Turkey hair to go with the turkey teeth. Yeah. So with the money that is usually spent by Microsoft on third-party titles on Xbox Game Pass, the service has been profitable. So this is one of the weirdest, like, roundabout ways of saying something makes money while losing money. At least that's the way it sounds, right? It says, it looks like despite the otherwise relatively grim atmosphere at Microsoft because of all the layoffs, project cancellations, and even a studio closure, the company's subscription service, Xbox Game Pass, is still seen as being profitable. According to a series of posts on social media platform X by the game business co-founder and editor-in-chief Christopher Dring, Microsoft sees the subscription service as profitable when it comes to business fees paid to third parties, marketing, here's another typo, marketing, and service costs. Okay, so I might be retarded and not know how to pronounce buccal fat properly, but at least I can type properly. Like, holy shit, man, this is the first paragraph of your article and you've already got a typo. It's important to note that Dring also points out that Microsoft doesn't count revenue that is being, quote, lost because of the company's first-party game releases coming to Game Pass on day one. He notes that if first-party studios are getting paid similarly to third-party publishers and studios to bring their titles to Game Pass, the service likely wouldn't be considered as profitable. Medical tourism is especially silly, especially for cosmetic. Yeah, it's a weird thing people do. I don't know. So, and this is in quotes, so costs associated with the Game Pass business is fees paid to third parties, marketing, service costs, and by that measure, it's profitable, posted Dring. What they don't count is the lost revenue that Xbox first-party studios are seeing as a result of the service. I have to imagine if first-party studios receive similar compensation, that profitability might not be correct. Later in the thread, Dring also noted that Microsoft itself told him that costs associated with the first-party releases on the subscription service are not included in the company's accounting of the profitability of Game Pass. While Microsoft might see the service as profitable and still worthy of investing in, especially when it comes to bringing in third-party titles, others that have worked at the company don't believe that it might be completely sustainable. And of course, talking about Arcane Studios founder Rafael Colantonio. Hey, Hook. Better late than never, buddy. Let me see here. Professional writer is a pipe dream at this point. Yeah. AI probably wrote most of this article, but if AI did it, wouldn't it have better spell checking? I mean, if we're being honest. See, quarter circle jerks, he gets it. They'd at least have proper grammar. Those are the parts that aren't broken. Yeah. Modern women think they're owed everything because of culture. Vids on YouTube about modern girls trying to date women and instantly missing dudes. Yeah, dude, honestly, I've seen a lot of that kind of stuff. And it's like those girls that are like, oh yeah, if a guy doesn't make six figures, I'm not even gonna date him. And I go, okay, so there is a part of that I'll accept where if you look at just like what they say is required to even be able to buy a house these days, you have to make at least six figures, which is crazy. So I can understand a girl being practical and looking at it like, well, I want to find a guy that can take care of me and we'll get married. And if he has a house, that's awesome. But the ones who just outright come out and say it like, oh, he's got to be 6 feet tall. And if he's not muscular and he doesn't have, if he can't pay $100,000 for my ring and all this other shit, and it's like, it's usually some like like 6 out of 10 girl who's overweight, that's always got these like high standards. Sometimes they'll already have a kid with another guy, you know. It's crazy. Hey, Mari, good morning. Thank God it's not morning here yet. I still have 1 hour till morning. I know I was saying I'm not staying up late tonight, but it's 10 after 11 and we're still here. They want a six pack, 6 foot, 6 figures. Now, let me say something though. I, as a guy who is short, as a short man, who wasn't filthy rich, who still is not filthy rich and probably never will be filthy rich, and doesn't own his own house, I never struggled to like find women who would give you the time of day, talk to you, actually seem like they'd probably be interested if you asked them out, that kind of stuff. But I will admit that there is this massive bias in the last 5 to 10 years where a lot of like shorter guys are not able to date. I think part of it, short guys have this tendency to have that really off-putting personality, that short man syndrome where they're always pissed off at everybody, like somebody wronged them, you know? But there is something in society, as people get taller, that shorter people are having a harder time, I think. Oh, talking about high-calorie women's insane standards. Yeah, pretty much. I got Riz. I don't think I got Riz. It's more just not being like it's that insecurity about your height. My kids, because my oldest son. All right, guys, I'm gonna out myself, right? I'm gonna out myself right now. My oldest son turned 12 a few months back. Well, 6 months ago. He's been 12 for half the year now almost. He is officially taller than I am. Okay, he has crept past me. He's about like that much taller than me. His shoe size, he's currently wearing a half size bigger than I am. All right. My kids always ask me if it bothers me that I'm short. I'm like, why would I care? I have no control over it. That you're not talking about something like where someone lets themselves get overweight. Somebody does some horrible, thing to their hair, or gets an ugly tattoo on their face, or all sorts of weird shit, right? Things that you should do or shouldn't do that you have direct control over. Your height, you're born whatever height you're going to be when you grow up, Your kid's almost as tall as you are. Yeah, my son, he's going to be a giant, okay? My daughter's tall also. Seeing your son's getting bigger than you is fulfilling. That's the way I look at it. I mean, I tell him, I'm like, I'm going to get him a t-shirt that says grown ass man, because he really is. Like, when it comes to his size, like my son has broad shoulders. Don't start practicing basketball. No, he loves baseball. Baseball is his sport. If anything, he might try playing football. He did like flag football one year. He might actually try doing tackle maybe as he gets a little bit older. Yeah, the point is having them be better too. You're not wrong there. Oh, Burner, you're the tallest in your family. Well, I'm the runt of my 3 brothers. So my brothers are all average to taller. I think it's more about having access to an indefinite dating pool. Women would be much more reasonable if there were 30 guys in your village. That is true. Yeah. No, I think it is that. Well, I mean, they've said this before, and I think it's a fair point that when it comes to dating, you have a lot of situations where I think it's like 10% of the guys date 90% of the women, or some crazy amount like that, right? It's some crazy drastic statistic, which doesn't sound true, but I think that there's some truth to it, where the top 10% of men have access to the largest percentage of women because those are the men that the women are all chasing. Whereas men typically have to chase women that are out of their league. That 10% of men is the ones that women are actually chasing, if that makes sense. Some people have a thing about height. Some men have issues with dating taller girls. Joe, it's the funniest thing. My wife is a tiny bit shorter than I am. But I've said it before, you'll see these memes on Twitter where you have like this 4.5 foot tall guy with this like 6 foot tall woman. I'm like, I'd be into it. I don't care. It wouldn't bother me one bit. I can understand a woman wanting a guy who's taller than her. I totally get it. I find it funny that for some people that height thing is like one of those, yeah. All right, cool pig. Yeah, we're not gonna be up here too much longer. Go harvest those crops. I know they're probably dying on the vine there, buddy. You live in Asia, so you're considered tall. Then when you hang out with other foreigners, I'm the shorter guy. Ironically, the 90% of men don't want those women because it's like shooting a hot dog down a hallway. Yeah, no, that's... Now we're talking about like those Lily Phillips and Bonnie Blue type women. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't care if a girl's taller than me, and a few of my girlfriends have been taller and I'm 5'9". Well, there you go. What was this one here? I saw someone's comment. Hook says, if you're a 4 guy, just get jacked. No excuse to be ugly and unfit. There you go. All right, so let's see. We already talked about Cole Antonio. But the crazy part is this, how they're not actually making money off their first party titles. That's the crazy thing with Game Pass, too. This is the stuff that makes me wonder if this is long-term actually going to work. You had Xbox reportedly given a, quote, utterly unrealistic financial target that could continue to hurt the division. This is from Jez Gordon, who's a Microsoft insider. He says Microsoft CFO Amy Hood has given Xbox an utterly unrealistic financial requirement that it's going to continue hurting the division. This isn't over. Tom Warren responds, says, I don't think it's unrealistic. It's just the reality of the Xbox business after the ABK acquisition. Without that deal, Xbox revenue would be down, and the Game Pass gamble hasn't paid off yet. So I don't know, guys. This is one of those situations where I feel like they're trying their hardest. It's kind of like when Ubisoft was lying about, or trying their hardest to deceive shareholders that their company was worth more than it really was. And again, there's caveats to that too. I'm oversimplifying it. They wanted shareholders to have the best impression possible of what state the company was in. I think you're getting a little bit of that with Xbox, with Game Pass, and the revenue that they're making, Some chicks dig the ugly jacked guy's bulldog fetish. Oh my god. Too many girls are obsessed with height and 6 figures. I get it, though. I understand it. Wait, as a tall guy, you've never dated a girl taller than 5'4"? See, Cage, damn you, man. You're supposed to be leaving the shorter girls for the tiny guys. Like, if a girl is like 5 feet tall, leave that to some dude shorter than me. I used to know this guy that was like 5'2", 5'3". I mean, he was borderline on the verge of being like a dwarf or a midget, and it was the funniest thing. Can we just get Dreamcast 2 already? Yeah. I don't think we're getting that anytime soon. I'm just a 5'8" guy, and I find it comfortable. Knee pain will be my lesser problem. I mean, you're not wrong about that. There is something to be said, especially as a shorter guy. Knee pain is not something I have. Like I said, I messed my back up at the gym years ago, so back pain is something off and on that I deal with, as well as a plethora of other nerve issues related to that. But I never have knee pain. Having never tried to date someone that makes them look like a kid and had to bend down to hug or kiss. I mean, that would be a little odd. I think you'd get used to it, though. Legacy Killer says, every day the Xbox news gets more and more bleak. These Game Pass revelations are insane. It makes me thankful they never ended up acquiring the likes of Sega, Square Enix, WB Games, and the many other publishers they were linked to over the years. But yeah, I don't know. I look at it as a... We'll know in a couple of years whether Game Pass is going to work or not. And at that point, whatever damage it's going to do to the games industry as a whole will have already taken hold. So there's not much you can do about it other than kind of like sit and watch at this point. 160s at 5'11", you're doing pretty damn good there. All your back pain, knee pain is snoring pain, or snoring went away completely. Yeah, but see, quarter circle, I'm not overweight at all. Like, I'm probably right at my healthy weight for my height. And my back pain is completely caused by a back injury from overdoing it at the gym when I was much younger. So, yeah, weight is the real important stat. Oh man, okay. I gotta find this. Hang on, guys. Hang on. I need to, since we're talking more about women and men and dating and weight and height and all this stuff, I need to find this tweet because I didn't even think I was gonna bother bringing this up, but this is hang on. Let me find this. Because I saw this tweet making the rounds on Twitter. This thing's got like millions of impressions. I gotta scroll through this shit here. Hang on a second. You're a believer of functional strength. Yeah, that's something to be said for that. Tall chicks are not your bag. No offense to tall chicks. Well, I think that that's natural for most people. Most guys want a girl shorter, or at least shorter than them. So tall women kind of get weeded out right away, kind of like the short guys do. God, I post some messed up stuff on my timeline. You ever just scroll through a couple days worth of tweets and go, oh, what was I thinking? That's crazy. All right, here we go. Since we're talking about women and men and weight and all that other stuff. Okay. This is nothing hideous. I'm not going to like drop pictures of Lizzo or that rapper who couldn't fit in that Uber or whatever. So this is nothing terrifying, guys. But I saw this tweet going around. It's got 71.4 million views. This chick should have monetized her account at some point, because the payout for those 71, almost 72 million views on this tweet, that would have been a nice chunk of change to put in the bank, I'm not gonna lie. That would have been pretty awesome. Your wife is like 5 foot even. Yeah, mine's 5'4", so I got a couple inches on her. It's actually annoying when I see couple and dudes much taller. Like, what's the point of that? I mean, y'all, people like who they like. I don't know. So, all right. This is some Instagram model. I don't know who it is. 240,000 followers on Twitter, okay? Looks AI but beautiful. Okay. So, she's a big girl, all right? And I say that knowing that she still looks better than the average woman. So, no, it's I don't think anything's fake or AI, okay? I mean, maybe there was a lift done in here somewhere, but you can see she's got like the stretch marks and a little bit of a belly and very thick thighs and stuff, right? But this is one of those ones where she's calling men fat phobic in her replies. Now, do I think the average man would complain about being with this woman? No. I don't think they would. But it just cracks me up because she's kind of a vapid lunatic from what I've seen in like her replies and stuff. But I don't know. Pass. So we got 3. Okay, hard pass. Oh no, she is overweight. She is. There's no question that she's overweight. That's not the question. Why are we using flash during the daytime? That's a good question. Hook says I would. YouTube demonetized. I mean, if I were single, I wouldn't say no. She's hiding a cold. Find her off-putting. I would too, but she's overweight. Yeah, no. So again, it's the idea. If my thought about this wasn't the fact of whether you want to judge her based on her appearance, whether or not the swimsuit looks good on her for her size, whether she's wearing too much makeup or if her personality's off-putting. It's the fact that in her replies were so many of these like, yes, queen, slay queen. And you go, it's fine if she's comfortable in her own body and she doesn't like look repulsive. I just find it weird because I think women do this where they build each other up so much, and then women are the first ones to tear each other down the second they have to, you know? Bingo wings and muffin top. Well, yeah, Mari, she is pretty. There's no question there. But the other question would be how much she's got going on under that makeup. Just looks fake. Yeah. But then if she's calling people fat phobic, yep, exactly. Oh, Hook, you changed it. Now I pass. So. Oh, no. So, again, I found some other, like, she had posted some other photos. And my biggest issue with anybody in these situations is the reason it's posted. You know, this goes back to that conversation about dating and personalities and women and stuff. It's just the fact that this is posted as bait to try to get people to attack her, to try to get people so she can shame them for being fat phobic and all this other stuff. And like I said, there's other photos of her where she looks decent. She's clearly overweight. That's not even like a, oh yeah, she's reposting this socialist Muslim dude. That's cool. It's like, okay, clearly she's wearing like a girdle or something. Now I'm showing my age. Like a bodysuit or something to slim herself down to get in this dress. If she was just a tiny bit, like a little bit healthier, she's 5'10", you know, wouldn't be that big of a deal. But I think that honestly that this is kind of that it goes to that problem with men and women where we just can't really see eye to eye these days, where I don't know. Her frump is getting better. Hey, Empress. Oh, we've just gone so far off the rails at this point. Now we're talking about random women on Twitter, whether they're overweight or not. If a woman complains about the height and hair of a man, she deserves to be judged by age, look, boobs, and weight. See, Mari, that's fair, that's based. She's unhealthy, nothing attractive about it. Pseudo gaslighting, yeah. Yeah, women can be the worst to each other. And that's just from personal experience what I've seen. I think that's just legitimate. 5'2", 95 pound woman, please. Dude, Ghost, I'm telling you, she didn't monetize it. No blue check mark. Like, but again, she's probably one of these ones who, look, I don't like Elon Musk, and to be quite frank, I'm pretty much a little over Donald Trump at this point too. At least over this whole Epstein thing, I'm like, dude, I'm just beside myself. But I can't imagine hating somebody so much that you'll use their platform, gain 240,000 followers, but then not monetize your account. That just seems crazy to me. I don't know. It seems insane. If I was so fat, I'd go crazy and lose weight forever. But see, Empress, you got the opposite problem. You're like actually dedicated to like diet and exercise and stuff. Whereas this woman is clearly, she's like, I would probably say probably a plus size model, right? And there's a market for that. At least she's got good cup and huge milk. See, my Hentress got the right idea. I'm excited for the American party. You mean the H1B party? No, I'm not. Death by Snoo Stew. I think she posted to try to get that validation and is super insecure, hence the fatphobic comments. Yeah. Now that's the thing. That's 100% what it is, I think. Because you're a rational person with good work ethic. Yeah, no, once you... Here's the thing. I think that happens for a lot of people, too, once they lose weight. And I know some of you guys talked about how you've lost a lot of weight, too. Once you've gone from that, like for me personally, it's depressing once I've gone from being in better shape to being back to my anorexic, high metabolism, can't gain, mass self, and don't have the time to really dedicate to it. Plus the Crohn's disease makes it hard to like try to do extra protein and diet. Like it's a cocktail of shit over here. But on the opposite side of things, once you've probably been heavy and lost weight, you probably look at this and go, I know how much happier I am when I'm a reasonable weight versus being 50 to 100 to 150 pounds overweight, Yeah, no, she won't get fat comments. No. I had one more thing to bring up tonight, but it's getting kind of late, guys. I'm kind of thinking we're going to cut it early. It had to do with this Baldur's Gate 3 actor talking about how diversity is being removed from some games. But to be honest, I think that this is kind of a dead horse being beaten over and over again. Like, we've all been there. We've all seen this. We've all talked about it. Plus, there's the Superman movie, which is coming out, that it's like, okay, so they've got terrible PR. People aren't excited about it. But I think that one's been covered by so many other channels, too. I don't really need to bring that up tonight either, guys. Oh, that being said, I don't have anything in the pipeline for guests for Wednesday. I don't even know if I want to try to line that up. It's supposed to be really hot this week. So streams are going to be a little bit maybe more sporadic, depending on the weather. So I'm going to at least try to have a couple of videos out this week. Not going to be streaming Friday. I have to get up early Saturday morning for work. Maybe we'll do a Saturday or Sunday stream. And probably a couple of videos. DEI supporters. Yeah, it's this... Well, I'll show you. It was this article from The Gamer. Blithian, that would require me to figure out how to actually like do the whole redirect thing. Like, hang on a second. Let me let me see if I can actually figure this out. Let me grab a tab here. Let me open up YouTube. Baldur's Gate 3 is lucky no one really played it to past Act 2. It's funny because even people that I know, in fact, I think Zav is one of the ones talking about how, or he told me about years ago how he loved the first 2 acts of the game, but Act 3 is where the game goes off the deep end. Like, it goes off the rails. How do you do a redirect? Because Words of Paradise is actually streaming. I could just send you guys to his channel. if I could ever figure out how to do it. How to use YouTube Live Redirect. Here you go. I'm not playing a video. No. Redirect your live stream viewers. Click Content, Live tab, hover over the video you want to redirect from, click Customization, under Redirect, click Add. Oh, that's easy. I didn't realize it was that simple. Holy cow. Huh. Well, we can give that a shot. Why not? Thanks, Mari. Appreciate it. Just draw a stick figure for the screen and call it a raid. Wait. Wagon Burner says I didn't finish Act 1 because I wanted all the women. Based. I think that's fairly based right there. Alright, guys. I'm going to attempt to see if we can't raid Words of Paradise here real quick. I mean, why the hell not? It's worth trying, right? It's worth a shot. Let me see here. Let's go to YouTube Studio. Why can't I go to YouTube Studio from this tab? This is stupid. I need another tab here. And then moving forward in the future, guys, I don't know if I'm going to keep streaming on Mondays. I might just switch to where I only stream on Wednesdays and then maybe one other day a week, like Saturdays or something. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. It just depends on what I'm going to have time for and what I think is going to work best for channel analytics and everything else. It's a lot to try to figure out with no time to do it. Customization. Redirect.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Oh, here we go. Alright, guys, I'm going to try to see if this actually works. So, I've got the redirect set up. If it doesn't work, I'm just going to drop a link to Leon's channel, because I don't want to be a complete retard, boomer, and screw it up. Hey, Nico, thanks for... GG, Nico, thanks for following, appreciate it. Alright, so... Hey, Truth, dude, honestly, I feel so bad because I was going to go a little bit longer, but I'm so tired, I'm probably going to hit the hay here, dude. At least let Discord know if you change your schedule. Yes, I will do that. I will 100% do that. So this is where we're going after the stream is over, guys. Yeah, talking about modern dating, modern women, and modern politics. Things that had nothing to do with my topics I had brought up. But that's just the way that the channel inevitably went. So, all right, I'm going to hit in stream. I'm going to see if this actually takes us to Leon's channel. Otherwise, I'll just pop in there and yell raid and pretend that I did it right. So, all right, guys, appreciate you all for hanging. I'll probably stream Wednesday, again, provided it's not too warm. Oh, yeah, the Texas thing is a nightmare. But either way, guys, I will let you know if anything changes. For right now, I'm going to try to keep it consistent, and of course,